Hey y'all, March 21st, a bite-sized Bible in Year chronological edition. Again, I'm moving, so this is the backdrop you get. I'm sitting on the floor, my tripod's on a box, got a couple lawn chairs. That's all I have right now, and televisions and beds. I mean, what else do you need? But until next week, this is the kind of backdrop you're gonna get. Sorry about that. All right, so what we read on March 21st is Deuteronomy 31, 30 through 32, 52, and Psalm 90. Wasn't it nice to read a psalm from Moses? Y'all might not have known. And I had forgotten that Moses even wrote a psalm, so that was nice. Okay, so we see one verse, the last verse of chapter 31, then it immediately goes into chapter 32. Chapter 32 to me felt like a study of contrasts. It was contrasting God's character and his actions with the Israelites' character and their actions. So if we look at chapter 32, 3 through 4, this is Moses speaking. He says, I will proclaim the name of the Lord. How glorious is our God. He is the rock. His deeds are perfect. Everything he does is just and fair. He is a faithful God who does no wrong. How just and upright he is. So it's this morally upright character of God. He never does anything wrong. He's fair. He's pure. And then it says, but. Now remember when we see words like but or however, we know that it's contrasting, okay? So now we're looking, okay, well, what's the contrast? We see God's character. Now we see that very next verse, verse 5 says, but they, the Israelites, have acted corruptly toward him when they act so perversely. And so you've got God's character, which is pure and just and upright, but, so it is contrasted with Israel's character, which right here it says, is corrupt. Then, there's more contrasting going on with 32, 6 through 14. It's a list of all the things that God did for the Israelites. He created them. He established them. And by the way, this is true for us too. He established them. He found them, surrounded them, gave them a place of belonging. He watched over them and guarded them and carried them and guided them and fed them. Those are all the things that he did. And then in 32:15, it says, but, so we know there's a contrasting coming, but Israel soon became fat and unruly. The people grew heavy, plump, and stuffed. Then they abandoned the God who had made them. And so going on 15 through 18, Israel is characterized as abandoning God, worshiping other gods and idols, neglecting him, and forgetting him. So whereas God surrounded the Israelites, they abandoned him. Where he gave them a place of belonging, they worshiped other idols and other gods. They didn't want to belong. When he watched over them, they forgot him. He was trying to watch over them, but they didn't even realize he was there. And then he guarded them, but they neglected him. They neglected their time with him. And so it's a complete contrast. And what happens, and we know this happens because God tells them it's going to happen. This is a song, by the way. Remember, this is a song by Moses. So this is kind of a psalm too, that they said it's going to witness against them. So it was a prediction of what was going to happen. And so then we see that God draws back and lets them live fully in the ways that they want to live, okay? And so they want to be separated from God. He goes, okay, I'm drawing back and let you have that. And the reason he's doing that, remember, God is not vindictive. He's not mean. He's not petty. He gives them what they want, life apart from him, so that he can get them to 32, 36 through 39, which says, indeed, the Lord will give justice to his people, and he will change his mind about his servants. When he sees their strength is gone and no one is left, slave or free, then he will ask, where are their gods, the rocks they fled to for refuge? Where now are those gods who ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their offerings? Let those gods arise and help you. Let them provide you with shelter. And then 39, look now, I myself am he. There is no other God but me. That right there is the whole reason he lets them just live the way they want to live, so that they can see that what they wanted is not what they needed. They needed God, and God lets us do that too. If we turn our back on him, we're like, no thanks, he'll let us live that way. He's a gentleman. He's not going to force himself on us. But hopefully that gets us to a place where we go, dude, I cannot do this. Like, my life is not fulfilling. It's a little bit empty. I might have these other negative things going on, you know, and I it's not what I want. And then maybe that gets us back to, you know what? I was much more fulfilled. I was much more joyful when I was walking with God. So that's the whole reason he lets discipline happen. Then in 32:47, I love this verse. 32:47, these instructions are not empty words. They are your life. By obeying them, you will enjoy a long life in the land you will occupy when you cross the Jordan River. And then he tells them to pass them on. God's words are never empty. In Hebrews 4:12, he says that God's word, the Bible, is living, it's active. Other places it says it's powerful. It's sharper than a two-edged sword to divide soul and spirit. And it exposes our innermost thoughts. Like, it's active, it does things in us. That's why we can read the Bible year after year after year and get something new out of something we've read a million times, because it's active and God activates it to speak to us. In Isaiah 55:11, it says, his word doesn't return empty. It accomplishes what he desires and achieves the purpose for which he set it forth. He sends out his word. We read his word. It's going to accomplish what he wants it to accomplish. So just like he's saying here, he says it to us. My words are not empty. They are your life. So we need to ask God, like, draw me in. Meet me between the pages of your word. And this is what I pray for my kid all the time. God, I pray that he loves your word. I pray that it's the most interesting thing that he's ever read, and he falls in love with it and can't get enough of it. Pray that for yourself. Pray it over your family. This is life. And if we're not feeling like it's life, then let's just ask God, can you please make this feel like it is my life? Because it is. And then we read Psalm 90, which is a character study on God. It says that he's out, in verse 2, he's outside of time. He created time. He's sovereign, which just means he's in control of everything. He's omniscient. He knows everything. He is just in 7 through 9. In 11, he's powerful. In verse 14, he's unfailingly loving. When he's in 16, he's active. He's involved. In 17, he's empowering. And we can't forget those last things, that he's loving, he's empowering. That's when we're living in love, is when we remember those sides. If we only remember the other things, like he's so big and he's so powerful, then we get out of balance. We can't live totally in he's so powerful, but we don't believe he's loving, because then we just live in fear. But we can't say he's always so loving but not very powerful, because then our faith is small. God is all powerful and all loving, and we have to take all that in. And so we can ask, God, am I living one way or the other? Please balance me. Help me to know how powerful you are, how good you are, how loving you are, and help me to live in the freedom that that brings. Okay, that's it. We're done for today. Okay, so today's reading is March 22nd, and that's Deuteronomy 33 and 34. That's the end of Deuteronomy. And Joshua, we get to move on to Joshua. Joshua 1 and 2. So the end of Deuteronomy 33 and 34 and Joshua 1 and 2. And I will talk to you about that tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.